Mr. Johnson, you claim the defendant, Ms. Owens, initially led you to believe that her child was your biological son. You say you were there when Dacari was born, and you even signed his birth certificate. But you recently learned that Ms. Owens slept with another man who is now deceased around the time of conception.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Owens, you claim that at the time you were pregnant, you believed the baby was Mr. Johnson's, but as he got older, you were worried that he looked like Mr. Tyson, the other father in question. Now, since he's now deceased, you've requested Mr. Tyson's family members submit to DNA testing, and his mother will be joining us shortly to learn the results as well. Ms. Owens, what concerns you most about the situation you find yourself in?
That this little fella over here that possibly could be my baby daddy. I want the other family to have closure, and I'm hoping that it is her grandchild because her son is deceased, and I don't want him to be the father of my child because he's not going to be a father anyway.
So, Mr. Johnson, why is this so important to you?
Well, I feel like I've been misled, you know? She was telling me, you know, one minute that, oh yeah, you're the father. Then the next minute she's telling me, a couple years down the line, that I'm not the father, you know? I'm kind of confused here. I don't know what to think.
You lying.
How am I
Ms.
lying?
Owens, did you tell him at any point that he was the father and then change it and say he wasn't?
Go ahead.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
At the beginning,
Thank you.
yes, I did believe that he was the father. But when my son was around 6 months, when we was together, living together, we both noticed that he started looking like the other dude, which is Dwayne.
You had this discussion.
Yes.
The baby got a little older. You felt like he started looking like the other potential father, and so you had a heart-to-heart. You all put it all on the table.
He knew that I slept with Dwayne. That ain't no secret.
Yeah, I didn't know before you told me, though.
Ms. Owens, you submitted to the court split-screen images of Mr. Johnson and your son, Dacari. And then you also submitted a picture of Dacari with the other potential father, Mr. Tyson. And it was at this point you determined maybe Mr. Tyson could be the father.
That's right, Your Honor.
She knew that all along, though. That's the whole point.
No, I did not.
At some point, you two were in a relationship, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
You got pregnant? He was at the hospital. Mr. Johnson was at the hospital.
you.
And I
That's what
paid
I'm
for him
saying,
to
though.
come to the hospital. I bought his
sorry?
ticket. I paid for him to come back.
Where's all this coming
and
from, though,
I paid
man?
for him to go to Chicago
What?
to
So
live
wait,
with his
wait,
daddy.
wait,
And that
wait,
was $108.
Hold on. Let's get some order. Did you believe at that time
Yes.
he was the father?
Yes, I knew in my
No.
heart that he was the father because I was in love with this little fella at one point, you know. So I was just thinking about the person that I was in love with at that time.
So you slept with somebody else,
Yeah.
but you just weren't considering it. You put your focus on him.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, so you are now taking part in this process. You're
Yes.
there for the birth?
Yes.
You signed the
He
birth
ain't do
certificate?
Yes, I did.
He ain't do nothing else. That's all he did.
And you were living
I
with?
was living there with
Living
her.
with,
When
also,
once I came there
live-
with her, you know, I was paying for everything. I was paying to go back and forth to the doctor
He
visits.
did not pay. He
all
only
that.
went. He ain't never been to one of my doctor visits with me, never in life. And the day when I was about to have my baby, he went
Don't
that
believe
day.
this girl,
He didn't
man.
come with me
Don't-
that
don't
day.
believe her, man. On
No,
some
he
real-
didn't come
I'm a
until I
woman,
dilated.
first of all.
Hello,
And
she pretty.
I will make the decision as to what I believe after I finish hearing the facts. I'm trying to understand not just Ms. Owens' side, but your side as well, Mr. Johnson. Were you helping her raise the baby? Were
Yes,
you
of
supporting?
course. Changing
No.
diapers, feeding them,
The
while
diapers
she was
that I
laying on her
bought.
fat. You know,
That-
that's
Hold
what
on,
I'm
Wait.
talking about.
Wait. Now you have to watch your language.
I'm just saying that's okay, Your Honor, because it is fat. You know, that's okay.
Look at her,
That's
man.
okay.
You know, she
I
sleep
mean-
around with everybody.
Hey,
You know,
everybody got to sleep. Don't be mad at me for doing what you do.
You all got a lot of jokes on something that really is quite sad.
Well, he
Because
is a
what
joke,
we're trying to
Your Honor.
figure out is whether either you're this child's father or
Yeah.
potentially the child's father is deceased.
Right.
And this court cares about Dacari.
I do too. You know, when I look at that picture, I see love. You know, I was there with him since he was born. You know, I really care about him. I really want him to be my son. That's without a doubt. I really want him to be my son. I signed the birth certificate.
I paid for you to sign
Everything.
the birth certificate.
Even
so
after he was born.
When you signed that birth certificate, did you have doubt?
He said he did at one point.
Yes, I did.
Throughout the birth and signing that birth certificate, you in the back of your mind, you said, I'm not sure if this child is mine, but I'm
Not
signing
really.
anyway.
She was telling me
You believe
I was the
everything you
father.
hear, huh?
You know, so I didn't want to really believe like this might not be my baby. So I went along with it. I believed.
You
I
had
trusted her.
doubt.
I had
You
trusted
had
in her.
doubts. You had
She
doubts.
told me that I was the baby's father. You know, and that's exactly what it
She's
was.
saying you did have doubts.
He had doubts. He just a little kid, little slow, a little bit, I guess, and signed the birth certificate.
Ms. Owens, I want to learn from you how you found out the unfortunate news that Mr. Tyson had passed away.
I was calling a friend in Job Corps, see how she was doing, and that's when she had told me that she see him on the news and he just got killed and he got shot. So,
Wow, that's unfortunate. And at the time she told you, you still had in your mind this could potentially be your child's father.
no, not Tyson, him.
Woo!
It didn't even. My son
How
was
you
like,
had
my
sex
son.
with this man?
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. You still had in your mind this could potentially be your child's father.
No, not Tyson, him.
Woo!
It didn't even. My son
How
was
you
like,
had
my
sex
son.
with this man? How could you not think that he
I
could have been
remember
your
what
baby's
I
father?
remember that he hit it. You ain't got to tell me.
Hey, everybody hit that man.
Oh, wait a
Don't be
minute.
mad at me.
Mr. Johnson. Let's get some order. Let's get some order in this court. The translation of that mess was you admit that you had sexual relations with Mr. Tyson.
Yeah, I never.
And when you found out he passed away, had you buried it back in your mind so far that he could potentially be your child's father, you just again didn't admit it to
Your
yourself?
Honor.
Or did you say to yourself, oh my goodness, this
Bloody
could be
hear
my
this.
child's father that passed
Well,
away?
if you shut up
Go
and quit
ahead, man,
talking,
go
you can hear
ahead, go
something
ahead. I
with
just
them
wanna hear
little
your
bitty
answer.
ears.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, like I said, it was never in my mind that he was my baby daddy. This little fella was in my mind. Okay.
How could that
And-
not be in your mind?
Little
you had
one,
sex
can you?
with him.
Little one, can you
You
calm
had
down?
sex with him.
Pipe down, little one.
You had sex with him. How could that not be in your mind?
Sit, doggy.
How could that not be in
Sit.
your mind? You ain't funny or none of that, though.
Mr. Johnson, Ms. Owens.
You are what you.
Let me tell you something.
See, Your Honor, that's why we come
No,
last.
no,
He too
no,
disrespectful.
no.
He's too
I'm
disrespectful.
taking a moment of pause so that I can find the appropriate, respectful words to tell you both how absolutely ridiculous you look right now. Both of you. All of this, little one, have a seat. You're not making anybody
Hold
look
on.
bad
First
except
of all,
yourself.
you up here talking to
no,
me?
I'm addressing him next.
Oh, well, you should
So
get him
the
first.
point is,
down.
no. Let's get this straight. I address what I want to address in the order I want to address it. All of this, little one, have a seat. You're not making anybody look
on.
bad
First
except
of all,
yourself.
you up here talking
no,
to me?
I'm addressing him next.
Oh, well, you should
So
get him
the
first.
point is,
down.
no. Let's get this straight. I address what I want to address in the order I want to address it. You in here acting silly. You up here acting like this is a stage play, and there is no play here. This is real life. You telling him to sit down, he telling you and cursing you out, you calling her names. That's potentially the mother of your child. There is a young boy here, Dacari. I don't want him up here acting like you or you. I don't want him acting like either one of you. You are a terrible example to your child of what a respectful human being acts like. Clowning in here. And a child sitting up here and don't know if his father's here or in a grave. You clowning. And I will not have it. Keep your mouth shut until we get to these results. I will not have it. Nothing worse than just some silliness for nothing, trying to make yourself look cute, and both of you look like a fool sitting up in here. This is ridiculous. I'm ready for the result. I don't want to hear nothing else. I want to go to these results, but I will meet Mr. Tyson's mother. Jerome, can you please go get her from the hallway?
Certainly.
Ms. Tyson, thank you for joining us today. And I want you to excuse the tension that you feel in this room. But these young people are not going to clown in this courtroom when there's a child at stake, not in front of me. I am sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you being here. And I want to hear from you. What do you have to add to this?
My son was killed in May of 2009. On the Detroit East Side. I heard from Alexis shortly after that my son might be the father of her son. I would like for him to be my grandson, because it'll be a part of my son. I have something from my son.
So you want Dacari to be your grandchild?
Yeah, because it'll give me a piece of my son,
Yes.
if it is. But
And this is the very first time you've met Miss Owens?
Yes. Yeah, I talked to her on the phone. She sent me pictures of Dacari, but this is my first time seeing her in person. If it's God willing, or if it's His will, I would want this to be my grandson. Or if it's not, still I would be there for Alexis, to talk to her, because I've been there without a father. Or if the young man is the daddy, let him be the father in the baby life, because like you said, that's what mattered, Dacari. Nothing else is they doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Finally, I hear somebody that's got some sense in this courtroom. That is what's important.
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson, you have established a relationship with Dacari. He knows you to be his daddy. You have a lot of ill feelings towards Ms. Owens, and likewise, she for you. But both of you are consistent that you love that child. And we all got to be big enough to put our silliness and our immaturity aside, because there's a child here that deserves better. Handsome little boy.
Thank you.
He deserves to be able to look at someone and call them daddy, or no, that was my father.
Yeah.
And have a grandmother. If you are in fact found to be his biological he deserves that. And doesn't need to have to deal with this nonsense just because it serves you both to try to one-up one another. You can never one-up him. You should deal with that right now. You can't. You all can talk about each other like a dog, and at the end of the day, it only hurts him. If you end up being his father, and he gotta watch you talk about his mother like that, you want your son doing that?
No.
And then if this is his father, you talk about his father, and he's a little one, and if this is his father, if he don't grow any taller, if his father's the little one, who is he? When you talk about a child's parent, the child takes that in. You talk negatively about the parent, the child will feel negatively about himself.
I would never do that in front of my son.
If you don't think my daddy's any good, then why am I any good? It's time for the results. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Johnson versus Owens, when it comes to 4-year-old Dacari DeAndre Johnson, Mr. Johnson, you are not his father.
There it is. There it is. Right there. I already knew it from the beginning, though, man. All thing she had to do was come out and tell me,
I have the next set of results here. Because Mr. Tyson had passed away, we have Dr. Baird from DNA Diagnostics to explain how they could perform a paternity test in a case in which one potential father is deceased.
Hi, Judge Lake. I have the results right here. In the case of Johnson versus Owens, samples were collected from the mother, the child, and the alleged grandmother. The samples that were collected were cheek swab samples, and DNA was isolated from those samples and subjected to DNA analysis. A calculation was then performed to determine the probability of relatedness.
Thank you, Dr. Baird. So the results are as follows. So the results are as follows. When it comes to Dacari Johnson, based on the testing results, the probability of relatedness is 99.99%. Ms. Williams, you got your wish?
Yes, I did. Thank you, God.
And Ms. Owens, you're emotional. How do you feel?
You really want to know?
Absolutely.
Pissed off and happy at the same time.
Okay. And you know what? I can appreciate the honesty behind that. Ms. Williams, would you like to meet your grandson, Dacari, in my
Yes.
chambers?
Yes.
That's wonderful. I also need to speak to Mr. Johnson. Sir, this is not the answer you wanted.
No.
I know. However, if you disappear on him, that will be 2 losses. You understand?
Yes, I do.
A man can teach him those man things in a way no woman can. And I want you to think about that, okay?
Okay.
He's counting on you. Ms. Tillis, you claim the defendant got you pregnant and now refuses to do anything for your 2-month-old son, Jaidynce, leaving you in financial distress. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim today's DNA test will prove that he is Jaidynce's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Jalik, you say you are 100% certain you are not her child's biological father and have medical evidence to support your claim. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Tillis, you say the defendant's paternity denial has left you in financial trouble?
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain.
The day my son was born, he has done nothing for my child.
Nothing?
Nothing at all.
Not a dollar?
Not a dollar.
Tell the court what that has been like for you.
I'm struggling. I have to do it all by myself. I'm not working right now.
So precious. Ms. Tillis, I know this has been difficult. I can only imagine. I'm a mother. 2 months in, you are still dealing with postpartum issues. You're still dealing with trying to put yourself back together, your mind back together, your body back together. And you're doing this all by yourself.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me, how has this affected you?
It hurts. Before I was pregnant with Jaidynce, I was having issues that I told Mr. Jalik about, and I was hoping that he would be there for me, but he turned his back on me.
Mr. Jalik, did you turn your back on the baby?
No, Your Honor. Basically, we had a conversation, and like I told her, I refused to take up the next man's slack for a child that's not mine. We wasn't even having relations when she got pregnant.
So, what was the nature of your relationship?
We were having sex because we got history.
What's the history?
When I moved to Oklahoma City from my home state, I was going to college for my associates in business where I met Miss Tillis.
So you met in college?
Yes.
Okay.
And at that time, I had long hair, so she was at school for nursing at the time, but she's a cosmetologist also. So she started braiding my hair, and she started lightweight spending nights with me at my home. I had a 3-bedroom house. She used to come over.
I moved in with him.
She used to come over.
Wait a minute, she said she moved in. Did she move in, or were you just braiding and bedding?
That's what it was.
Both. It was both, but over time, I moved in with him.
So this started a committed relationship? You met?
I thought it was a committed
Did you
relationship.
date or you just braided his hair then decided I'm moving in?
Thank you. Braiding with benefits.
Oh, okay. So obviously
it's not
you
like
all had a relationship. If she was over there all the time, Mr. Jalik.
We had a
Your Honor.
situationship. The situation was she was an in-house braider, but at the same time, even back then, no, for real, I know it sounds crazy, but even back then, she
Your
was going
Honor.
through things. So my place was a safe haven. And like I told her, in the situationship, I pay all bills, I pay all rent. You do my hair, so you can't trip on what company comes through my front door.
No, Your Honor.
That's the situation.
This is a first. This is a first. Jerome, I've never heard of this.
Me either.
In-house braider
Brand new.
with benefits. Something to me is not adding up. So you move in. Do you think this is your boyfriend when you move in?
He made me feel like I was his woman.
And tell me, what evidence do you have to support that? What did he do?
We slept together every night, cooking for me, watching movies. It was just cuddle time. It's like a relationship.
How long did you live together?
For at least 2 years until I went to Job Corps.
2 years? Mr. Jalik, now you had her living in your house for 2 years?
Your Honor, I'm a Southern man. I cook, I clean, I do all of that. So when she met me, she was dealing with guys that hadn't, showed her, the basics of life like that, for us when it comes to social and doing what you do.
If I wasn't your
That
woman,
don't-
where did the jealousy come in at?
Because you sitting up there talking about you don't like when women come over.
You said where the jealousy come in, so you're saying, Miss Tillis, he was jealous?
Yeah, I
Of
would
what?
talk to my friend on the phone.
What friend?
My friend from years before him.
Why were you on the phone with him, living in his house, and that's your boyfriend?
Thank you. Why am I looking at your phone and you got nude pictures going to your ex while you ain't with that ex?
Oh, Miss
why I feel
Tillis, were you sending naked pictures to your ex while you were living in his house and saying he was your boyfriend?
I was. But only because he had females coming over to the house.
Do you believe she was also having sex with someone else during the window of time that Jaidynce was conceived?
It's very possible, Your Honor, because I said we've been doing this off and on since 2011. This is the time to let me know what else you got going on. And when she sat there for a second and she was like, well, I did, I'm gonna be real, I did mess with my ex, a couple of months ago when me and you got into it after I got my car.
So she confirmed and she admitted in
Yeah.
that moment, I did sleep with my ex.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I want to understand what was transpiring during the window of time when Jaidynce was conceived. Were you all intimate during that time?
Yes, this is
No.
the time where we were working together. We
No.
were on and off.
So you and your ex rekindled your relationship or friendship, whatever it was,
It was a friendship. We weren't.
but you started having sex with him as well.
Yes, but it was just one time, and we used protection.
So say.
Were you 100% certain that the sex was protected? Are you 100% certain,
Yes,
Ms.
Your
Tillis?
Honor.
That's
Yes.
not what you told me.
Did you
though.
tell your ex that he potentially could be Jaidynce's biological father?
No, not at all.
You did not?
No. Can I show you my pregnancy timeline?
Oh, you brought some evidence. Yes, please step up. I want to get this story.
This is the conception date that the sonogram lady gave me. Me and Mr. Jalik messed around in October.
More like early September.
No,
This
it was
around the time she got
it
a car.
was in the middle. It was in the middle of October.
Work with
the
home
end of
health.
October, I messed with the other man.
Wait, say that again.
The middle of October, I messed with him without protection.
Do you agree with that,
The end
Mr.
of
Jalik?
October,
No.
it was the other man.
No, ma'am. I'm gonna tell
So you did mess with the other guy at the end of October?
Yes.
So why, when I asked you, did you think he was a possibility, you said no?
Because we used protection. It wasn't. I messed with him in October too. The beginning of February.
And the
I
first
found out I was-
conception date they gave you was October 25th.
Yeah, but she wasn't accurate because she didn't know. I asked her, do she know when I conceived? And she just threw me out a date.
So when the date was October 25th, Mr. Jalik, you thinking that's the ex?
I went to my OBGYN and he gave me the conception date of November the 14th. That's the last time me and Mr. Jalik messed around.
We wasn't even having sex then. Let me show you something, Your Honor.
Okay, you can step back to your podium, Ms. Tillis. What do you have for me, Mr. Jalik?
My father, myself, and my 3 sons all have what the old folk call a wisdom hole in our right ear at the top. We're born with it. It's a handsome child that she has, but he doesn't have the trait that me, my father, nor my sons have.
It's a pre-auricular sinus.
Yes, ma'am.
Pre-auricular sinuses are inherited. And also, one study says the incidence of pre-auricular sinuses in the United States is estimated to be 0 to 0.9%. Wow, that's less than 1%. That's very rare.
Yes, ma'am.
So 3 generations of men in the family have this trait.
Yes, Your Honor.
But Jaidynce does not.
Not at all. When I went to the hospital when he was like 3 days old, she called me, and I went out there and I looked at him and I picked him up, looked at him.
Yeah, he was looking at my baby like, examining my baby in the light.
I mean, that's what I want to see. But the first thing I'm looking for is our trait. I don't see it.
He examining a pineapple or something at the grocery store,
Exactly.
looking at it in the light and turning it upside down. Is that how you did the baby, Mr. Jalik?
It wasn't that physical, but I mean, I gave him a good look over.
Were you looking for this wisdom hole, or were you just looking for traits that you feel resembled yourself?
Tracing myself, tracing my sons. If that's my child, he need to, resemble his siblings because they resemble each other. So,
but they don't have the same mother, and our DNA is not the same.
Okay, and that's a good point you're making. If they all have 3 different mothers and they all still resemble, that means it's coming from my side of the family.
He looks like you.
I'm gonna do one more for you, Your Honor. About 2 weeks ago, me and Miss Tillis went to a cafe with Jaidynce. So this is a cafe that I frequent. There's a woman that works there. She's about 60. She, at this point in time, is showing me a picture of a 10-year-old that belongs to the other guy. This the other guy's son. So while she's showing me this picture, the waitress walks up. Jaidynce is in a car seat, and the picture is beside him because she's showing me the picture of the 10-year-old.
My son does not look like that child.
Ask her what the woman said. The woman said, "Oh my, look at little baby. He looks just like his big brother." They resemble so much. The other guy's 10-year-old.
And that's the son of the other guy.
And this is a woman that wasn't privy to our conversation. This is an older woman, and she walked up and she was like, "Oh, they look just alike."
Did that happen, Miss Tillis? You down there smiling?
Yes, Your Honor, it did happen.
So when Miss Tillis said, "Well, this is not my baby right here. This is not my son," she said, "Oh, that's not?" She said, "Okay, let me walk. I'll be back." She was embarrassed because he looks just like his big brother.
All right, this court, I want to hear more about this pre-auricular sinus condition because I don't know much about it, but I do know from the evidence you presented that it's very rare. So I'd like to bring in Dr. Samantha Brown Parks, our expert, to hear more about this. Jerome, will you please escort the doctor in?
Have you go up on the witness stand right next to the judge. Watch your step.
Hello, doctor.
Hi, Your Honor.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Sure.
We are in a case concerning beautiful baby Jaidynce. Oh. And we are dealing with a paternity question Mr. Jalik has concerning a physical condition he commonly calls a wisdom hole, which he has presented evidence to this court. I've now learned it's called pre-auricular sinus.
Yes.
But I don't know much about it and would like to understand. I know it's rare. Mm-hmm. Can you shed light on this and as to whether or not this is truly relevant in this paternity question?
For sure. So a pre-auricular sinus is a small hole or opening that's a birth defect. It happens in less than 1% of the population and traditionally is inherited. It's an autosomal dominant trait, which means you have 2 copies of a gene. If one is defective or mutated, it will display in most cases as the wisdom hole. But you have 2 copies of that gene. So one from your mom, one from your dad. It sounds like your dad's side of the family is the one that had the wisdom hole, but your mom's side did not, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So each child that you produce has a 50% chance of having that wisdom hole. So you've got a 50-50 shot with an autosomal dominant disease.
So what you're saying is the fact that his 3 children now, they currently have the wisdom hole.
Correct.
does not necessarily mean that every child he would produce would have it. It's a 50-50 chance in each child.
In each case, it's just like a flip of a coin or roll of a dice. Your odds restart every time. So each time it's a 50-50 shot.
So the doctor's testimony has shed a lot of light for me, because when I read the evidence you presented and we talked about how rare this is, 0 to 0.9%, it's such a rare thing, that would immediately cause you to believe, well, if it's that rare and they all have it, and maybe there's something to his doubt. But now we understand further that it is a 50-50 chance in every child. After hearing what the doctor has said, Mr. Jalik, and this clarification, do you feel any differently about the possibility that Jaidynce is your biological child? Do you
No,
believe
Your Honor.
he could be?
No, Your Honor, I don't feel any differently about this handsome child, because at the end of the day, the child's mother is still a little friendly out there, so.
So you believe, without a shadow of a doubt, this child is not yours?
I know he's not.
Now, Ms. Tillis, I want to understand from you, you are 2 months in being a mother, and it sounds like you're not standing on solid ground.
Yes, Your Honor.
With no help. What are your hopes?
My hopes are the results come back that he is the father and that he'll stand up and be in his life like he needs to be and help me with this child.
All right. Jerome, I'm ready for the results. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Tillis versus Jalik, as it pertains to 2-month-old Jaidynce Tillis, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Jalik, you are the father. That's your little baby.
I know it was somebody's nose. Now that I look at it, I can kind of see the. I apologize.
How does that make you feel, Miss Tillis?
I'm happy,
Are you?
but I'm emotional at the same time because I went through a lot when I was pregnant.
Yeah. We could tell.
I apologize. My bad. I apologize.